Well, I think we're all here. We've got a couple members absent, but we're going to go ahead and get started with the public hearing for the tax asking budget for 2026. Christy, did you have anything to add, or were there any comments to bring forward to the meeting?
No comments.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments or anything to add to this?
No.
Okay. I guess with that, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and go ahead and call our monthly meeting to order. And we will start with the consideration and approval of the 25-26 budget and certificate of taxes by Christy.
Okay, just to summarize what we went over at the last meeting, the taxable valuations went up 34.9 million this year. Our tax rate is going down 13.66 cents. It's mostly in that ambulance tax. We decreased that by $113,000, so it's roughly 11 cents per thousand. So the property tax and the utility tax calculated funding that we'll get will go down $113,760. Will be at, for the fiscal year 2025-26, $1,050,452. So our budget basically asks for, sets that tax rate, but it also sets the maximum budgeted expenditures we can make before we would have to amend our budget. So it is higher than what we normally do, but just, if we have new revenue sources, we need to be able to have enough tax budget there to be able to accommodate those new services and costs associated with them. So our maximum budgeted expenditures for next fiscal year is $80,800,000, which is about $5.6 million more than this year. We haven't had to amend a budget for many years. We did one year because of IPERS. So that's really when it really hits us, because we never really know what IPERS market's going to do. So, but that's the maximum tax budget expenditures and the tax rates that we publicize. Any questions?
All right, if no questions, can I get approval of the budget certificate of taxes?
I move approval of the budget and the certificate of taxes.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead, Terry.
Okay, we got a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Now we'll talk about the approval of the minutes for the January meeting. If there's any changes or deletions or additions, speak now. If not, we're going to go ahead and ask for an approval of those.
So moved.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Mid-staff meeting summary by Dr. Devine.
We had our mid-staff meeting January 11. We looked at our ACO reports, which is the accountable care quality measures and goals were set for 2025. There's a new antibiogram in EPIC. What that is for our community, what the resistance pattern is of certain organisms. This is different in each community, and so now we can access that through EPIC, which is kind of nice with pick an antibiotic. Of course, it's also different for individuals, so just be aware. The joint conference met and went through their annual policy and procedure manuals. They have to be updated yearly, and they all were done. They were minor revisions. Infection Prevention Committee, there was a small increase in urinary catheter use. There are sometimes when we don't have a choice, like if you have an active hip fracture or something, you can't be moved onto a toilet, so then you have to. But sometimes it's for helping with wound healing in that area to keep it dry. There are other options then. So we talked about the other options, and we will try to minimize catheter usage as much as possible. ER schedule was updated. TCM audits, what that is transition of care. This is a Medicare from when we come out of a hospital and go back into the community. It can be used for home health certifications. It can be used for just getting everybody's med lists updated and everybody's goals updated. So including when they come from other facilities. We want that within 14 days. Unfortunately, we're missing quite a few of those. Even though we're making the phone calls after we get notified that people are out of the hospital, they're not getting caught within that 14 days, or they're not getting billed as if they were caught within that 14 days. So we're going to try harder on that. Work harder. Then the resident who was interested potentially in coming here wants to get some OB certification, and so she was going to look potentially abroad to see if she can get some extra C-sections. In residency, there's a lot of competition. So you have your OB residents, you have your family practice residents, they're all competing for the same procedures. So it is hard for people to get the number they need to be certified, especially if they're in a larger program. So then we did the appointments and reappointments, which I didn't have any concerns on. And then, pretty much it. Christy went through the financials, which I think she's going through with you. So that was our meeting. Questions?
All right. Thank you, Dr. Devine. If no questions, we'll go ahead and move to the auxiliary annual report by Cheryl Perry.
Okay, hi everyone. Just going to give a summary over the accomplishments and the goals of the auxiliary from last year. That's right. We'll start out with growth. We always have a goal every year to increase membership. Last year we increased our membership by 19 members. We did establish a membership team, and Nancy Osborne is the lead of that committee. She does have a specific process. She welcomes the new members, and she also shares members' interests with program chairs. The membership information is always available at any auxiliary event. The picture there is Nancy, and Deb Morgan is one of the team members for that committee. We do continue to collaborate with HR, and we give out a letter for the retirees from MMC to join the auxiliary. Nancy mans that also. She usually gives the employees a little bit of time to enjoy retirement before she goes, and some of them are already members of auxiliary.
Deb retired from your mission.
Yes,
Deb retired
yes,
from
and
your-
she is one of our members. Under quality, we do follow the MMC compliance policies. Cheryl Burchett leads this effort. We are 100% compliant with all the compliance records that we need to have done. She works with HR, Employee Health, and Ruth Pitkin. Under quality, all gift shop, skilled care, and RSVP volunteers will have a background check beginning of the volunteering, a health assessment every 4 years, and documentation of the flu vaccine or a waiver signed annually. This year, Employee Health did request a COVID vaccine or a waiver. It was not required, but she requested it if we had one. The HIPAA and confidentiality statements are signed annually by those team members and also by the board of the auxiliary. Our goal is to report programs at least one time a year in our Volunteer Voice newsletter. The newsletter is one of our main ways to communicate with all our members, and they do get this through the mail. We do promote our healthcare scholarship through the Volunteer Voice also. 100% of our donations that we get through the Bakeless Bake Sale that we do in the spring goes to the healthcare scholarships. We utilize the newsletter. Last year we started to, at least to let the members know how close we were to meeting our goal. And last year we did do better on the donations. We had increased donations for the scholarship fund, so we were glad of that. Move on to people. The Employee Appreciation Events is probably one of our funnest events. It happens 4 times a year. It's led by Deb Duran. We started on Valentine's Day. It's just kind of a tradition of the auxiliary. Each event is themed with an attached note of appreciation from the auxiliary to the team members at Myrtue. Many, as you can see on the pictures, if you know people, a lot of the people who help with it are Myrtue Medical Center retirees. One member told me that we own this event because they really enjoy it. They really bought into the ownership of it. So, and we always get a lot of positive team member response from this day. Okay, under people again, let's see, with every event, it seems like we do use marketing for assistance, either a small way or a large way. So I feel like we do maximize their use in helping us get out our message. They've helped us update the website, brochures. They post events on the monitors at the hospital and on social media. Some of our appreciation events, we did give out board member gifts during the installation ceremony, like what we do in January of 2024. The top, let's see, the bottom left picture there is an outdoor brunch. That was hosted by Carissa Sears, just as a thank you for the board members, which it was very, very enjoyable. The annual meeting is there on the right, lower right-hand side is our annual meeting we have every year. Last year we moved it from February to April during Volunteer Month, and it was very well received. We had a full house. It was enjoyed. Brunch is always good. But it was a great event, so we're going to continue having that in April. The hospital, of course, gifted the board members with the 70th anniversary T-shirt, and volunteers were all invited to the Volunteers Appreciation Brunch, the Dad's Waffles. So the top picture there is Dad's Waffles, and I thought we had a pretty good turnout for that. There were several auxiliary members there. We did collaborate with marketing again to take part in the Shelby County Fair Parade. It's always a fun event, and then we boasted on the 70th anniversary of the hospital also. Under service also, these pictures are all of the bazaar. Once a year, we have our biggest fundraiser in September. It was very successful last year, and of course we appreciate the support of our Myrtue team members and of course the board members. I did see many of you in and out of there. Either you didn't stay to eat, but you grabbed the meal and left, and we appreciate that. Nancy Osborne and I chaired the event. She's the vice president this year too. Just some of those pictures are just various pictures. The middle sort of top there is the bake sale, the ticket people, Calla Polberg by the Christmas tree there. She is the chair for the Tree of Lights, and helping her is Sharon Musage. This year she actually was able to sell out of the Tree of Lights. And we have donations, or our ticket takers and our raffle people. It did work well. I don't have any pictures from the gift shop part of the bazaar, but it did work well. We did scale back on the gift shop some. A little less breakage in that way, so it did work good for that. For service, I'm going to start with the top picture there is our auction concessions. Deb Morgan has led the auction concessions. We hosted 4 concessions last year. We always post that the food is sponsored by the Myrtue Medical Center Auxiliary, and that proceeds go to scholarships, or we do advance them to the donation that we give for the hospital's equipment. The members are great in this. They donate the food, the beverage, the time. We have little expense. It has been a good fundraising endeavor. The picture there on the right is, it was one of our members that ended up moving from her home into Hanson House, so it was a privilege to help their family with the food, and they didn't have to worry about how much food they needed to have, so it was a good service project. The 3 pictures on the left-hand side is our baby caps and Afghans. They're made by volunteers, and I wish I could remember what year that started, but next year maybe I'll have that for you. But we had 100 births at Myrtue last year. I think that number is correct. So all received a handmade gift. Loretta reported to me that in 2024, 140 caps were delivered to the nursery and 86 Afghans, and those are all handmade. The caps and Afghans are presented to the new parents in a gift bag with a card of congratulations from the auxiliary. Let's see, I think I was going to stick in there how much we do love our new space also at the gift shop. I don't have many pictures from that on this picture, but we did get a new sign that marketing helped get us that faces the outside. But we love our new space. At the end of the year, after we were there a little over a year, we did get some new shelving for display. So you have to come down and see, since I don't have pictures up there to show you. And thanks to the storeroom and the maintenance departments for helping us with that. All I had to do was order them. They came into storeroom delivered them to maintenance put them together and brought them over. It was very slick. On the rest of these pictures is the holiday open house. The right upper hand side is Pat and Joe. They were our buying team last year. I think that picture actually there is from the bazaar, but they hosted, of course, the holiday open house, and we had a great event too for the holiday open house. Thanks again to our team members, the board, and all the community for coming out and supporting us in that. Service ongoing activities. The scholarship recipients are shown there. We gave out 6 $800 scholarships last year. We give 5 for the Myrtue Medical Center Auxiliary, and 1 is named for Donna Fay Highbury, a long-time member of Auxiliary. The committee was very pleased this last year. We had numerous applications. Makes their job harder, but they were glad that they had the interest out there. So it went to some well-worthy students there who are interested in going into the healthcare field. The second one there is with Carrie, diagnostic imaging and the CT scanner. That's a picture from the POP tours, the Pediatric Orientation Program. That's where we have people get together and we take the first grade students around during hospital week. Pat Pash leads that endeavor. She said there were 6 tours given. There was 104 students. I'll just give you the numbers, and 9 adults. And these were all from Harlan Community Schools and Shelby County Catholic Schools. They met the challenges of the remodeling thanks to Ruth Pitkin and the hospital staff. So she said it really went well. And thank you to the staff members of respiratory lab, diagnostic imaging, nursery. The ambulance staff comes out, and I'm sure that has to be organized through the ED department and the wellness center. So we thank them for their time. We do have a testimonial from a first grade boy who said, "This was the best day ever." So we know it's worthwhile to continue to do that. The lower picture is, that's Jan Geezer. She chairs our skilled care visits. She coordinates these visits through the utilization department. The program has positive impact. Jan has participated in that program for 14 years, led it for 9, but she is transitioning out from being leader, transitioning her duties to Linda Anderson, who's going to lead that project. So we did thank her for all her service in that department. Our RSVP program, Retired Seniors Volunteer Program, we're in the 2nd year of that. It's a program, we give transportation to local appointments served by Myrtue, and the auxiliary department collaborates with patient access and HR. Joan Chamberlain is our lead for recruitment. We gave 161 rides last year. We thought that was very good. The picture you see there, we met with Ingrid, who is the Volunteer Iowa Senior Program Director. She wanted to meet at least 1 time a year, and Joan Chamberlain was able to get it set up at Coffee Girl, and we had a very good turnout. Almost all the drivers made it. I made it, and we did have representation from patient access, and of course Ingrid Clear over there on the end. But it was a good time to clarify areas of concern. All the drivers had very positive experiences as drivers. An appreciation gift was given by Ingrid to the drivers, and they all shared positive patient feedback too for this program. So that we will continue. I think right now we have 16 drivers. We've always thought we should keep it at minimum of 10. So, but we've kept it right at 14 to 16 lately. So we are happy with that. And lastly, ta-da, this is our 2024 auxiliary board for 2025 auxiliary board. The board did approve donations for Myrtue Medical Center. And one thing we did give to the home health department, they wanted to give bags for the Kids Fest. So she did give me an example that I could show you. So all the kids, I don't know how many of these they got, maybe 400 of them or so. So they'll give those out at Kids Fest with whatever else they put in them. So
Nice.
we did have that already, that somebody has already gotten. So, and you have seen, I did lay out brochures. It wouldn't be complete without a brochure from Myrtue. So if you're already a member, you might have a friend you can take those home to and maybe encourage them to be a member. And they can always reach out to any of the board members for any questions. So thank you all.
Thank you.
That's it. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for all
Thank
the
you,
good
Sheriff.
programs you're doing.
Yes, you're welcome. Any questions or anything? I
No,
guess?
thanks for all your work.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. You're
All of you.
welcome.
All of you.
Yeah, that was a great presentation,
You're welcome.
slideshow, just showing all the wonderful things the auxiliary does. So, yeah, thank you very much for
Thank
all you guys do.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to the quality improvement report by Laura.
Okay, we had 15 departments reported our last system-wide QI meeting, which was in January. Specialty clinic monitored after visit summaries and/or my chart sign-up, which was at 99%, and hand hygiene. Rehab services is focused on completing a fall risk screening as well as developing a plan of care for anybody who has had fall within the last year, 2 or more falls within the last year. Respiratory therapy monitored compliance with sleep lab requirements, adverse reactions to patient identification, and ventilator documentation, all which were at 100%. Senior Life Solutions had all new monitors, and we're looking at medication reconciliation, patients meeting with their provider monthly, and timeliness of the note being completed with signatures, and they were also at 100% for that. The Rural Health Clinic reported on monitoring outdate process and compliance with OIG compliance for the Erling Clinic. Surgery reported on an updated process for surgical and tissue review with Dr. Bowen, timeout compliance and post-op phone calls, which was at 100%. They saw a 46% improvement in that. And utilization review monitored appropriate level of care, length of stay, which was at 100%. Sepsis care and VTE or blood clot prophylaxis and monitoring those, which were also very good. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Next, we'll go to Karen for the consideration and approval of joint conference committee policy and provision revisions.
Okay, a mouthful.
Yeah.
So I'll go over, pass the book around that has the full policies and procedures that were reviewed for these meetings. And just a reminder, we divide departments out into 4 quarters throughout the year. So this is a quarter of the departments that have to bring their full policy and procedure manuals. And then the second half of the meeting, we go over any new ones from the previous meetings so that we're kind of staying up to date on all of these policy and procedure changes. So the first part then, the full policy and procedure manuals from February 24 to January 25. We did administration. I'll just go over some highlights. A lot of changes to just acronyms, as well as for the critical access hospital, the Department of Inspection and Appeals, all of our regulations, they have tag numbers on those regulations. And they made a full revision of all those tag numbers. So you'll hear as I go through here that a lot of people will put in their policies the actual tag numbers, so they had a lot of the changes to the tag numbers. So a lot of COB reference tag numbers were changed for administration. We had a policy for 2 patient identifiers, making that a standard facility-wide. So any patient that comes in, we have to identify them with 2 identifiers, name, birth date, anything that works, but you can't always use like facial recognition, you have to use 2 identifiers. Mileage reimbursement changes every year, and then we just did some combination of some policies into one single policy. Business office, after our DIA inspection, we did have to obtain some more or additional shred containers, so they just updated their policies on where those shred containers are now located. Emergency preparedness, we had a large emergency operations plan, in that within that was a mass casualty plan. We pulled the mass casualty plan out of the big operations plan, so there are actually 2 separate plans now. So nothing major change there, just separating those out. Lab, as you know, we have the new chemistry analyzer, so a lot of policy changes for the new analyzer. Senior Life Solutions, they had some, again, combination of some patient rights forms. They have a different medical record than we do, so they did go over some of their downtime. So if something were to happen, you don't have access to the internet, et cetera, they went over their downtime policies and clarified their policy for that. And then they obviously have lots of group sessions. So there were some new codes that they incorporated for those group sessions. So those were the full policy and procedure manuals we went over. So changes just from the last, or for the last quarter, this is October through December of '24. Human Resources, we did go over some clarification on parking. As you know, with all the construction, it kind of makes our parking shrink down a little bit, so we had to make sure everybody knew where they were supposed to park so that we're not interfering with any operations. Maintenance, again, after DIA was here, as well as having a fire alarm that went off, we did some changes to our fire policies. The fire watch was actually moved to our safety manual. Then they had to also add in the fire sprinkler and alarm to the safety manual as well. For OB, we added nitrous oxide for labor for anesthesia, or analgesia, sorry, not anesthesia. It's a new form for pain control during labor. It's very fast acting, in and out, very quick, so it's kind of nice for people who don't want to go full bore into like an epidural. They just need a little something to get them past kind of that transition stage. Respiratory therapy went through their full policy procedure manual, just kind of a review. And then again, the safety manual added in those fire policies. Jan's on our committee, and she's not here today, but this all, as Dr. Devine alluded to, went through the medical staff. They approved all these policies and procedures. By regulation, we need to have it go through the board and have approval here as well.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
And we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Next, we'll go to the consideration of approval of Personnel Committee report by Janine.
Thanks, Mike. Personnel Committee met previously. We reviewed the credentialing. We had 2 initial appointments and 10 reappointments. I'd make a motion for approval of this credentialing report.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Next, I'll talk a little bit about the consideration of approval of the CEO search firm contract. February 18th, the executive committee, consisting of Barry, Kate, Jan, and myself, met with, actually we had some discussion, but then we met with Whit Kiefer via Microsoft Teams or Zooms. So they were via Zooms, kind of told us what they were going to be about. That was one of the search firms we discussed, and we also discussed B.E. Smith. Those were the 2 main search firms discussed. They addressed a lot of our questions there that day. We had discussion as the executive committee. And we feel that we're going to recommend Whit Kiefer to be our search firm for our new CEO. Did you have anything to add, Kate, on that?
Yeah, just that in addition to that Zoom meeting, they gave us extensive material. I mean, there was a lot to go through, and we all went through that and felt really comfortable with that decision.
Okay. Well, without any questions or any other concerns, we're going to need an approval to choose Whit Kiefer as our search firm.
Move approval.
We have a first
I'll second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. And also, considering this, do we need to discuss a search committee? Did we?
Yeah, I did send an email out to the board members. I did hear from one of the board members that offered to help, but was also fine if the executive committee wanted to serve in that capacity. So I think maybe executive committee could also be the search committee. If that's all right with be Mike, Kate, and Jan would be the ones on that committee then.
Perhaps explain then that it would be
go down to 3 or 4 candidates and then the whole board would interview?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to the board on how they want to go about it, but, you know, they could narrow it down to 6 to 8 semifinalists.
Okay.
And I think it would mainly be the search committee that would be interviewing those candidates to narrow it down to 3 candidates. Also with the search firm would be a couple medical staff members. So with the search committee. The search committee would be a couple of medical staff members, and I think Dr. Devine and Dr. Anderson have agreed to serve on that committee. So then once it gets down to 3, then it would be, you know, it would be the medical staff would be involved, the full board, any other stakeholders that you might want to have involved in that process. Does that kind of explain what, that's what I got from Whit Kiefer on kind of their explanation of how they normally do it. Now, we can certainly change that up to some. If we don't want 6 to 8 candidates to start with, if you want a shorter list, you know, that's up to the board.
I guess the only other question I have is the time frame. We certainly don't want to hire someone July 1st. So I don't know, and I know that Whitcomb will get us through that too, but.
They thought about a 6-month process.
Did they?
Yeah, because they first come out here and look at our community, because they put together a proposal for any potential candidates. So they want to have a real feel for what we have to offer. And so that's the first step in the process. So it is a longer process than we would have in private industry.
I understand that,
Yeah,
but
so, yeah, it's about a 6-month thing, and, you know, we can make it whatever we want. But they seem to think it was appropriate to begin.
Okay.
So that 6 month is from like now until when they present their initial candidates to you? Or that's through
No, I
hire?
think that would
Like
be
an
through
offer?
probably the 3 candidates that we would but there's, yeah, it's a long process through that.
No, we
That'll
gotta
only
get
be
it right.
September,
We
yeah.
just want to get it right.
Well, with this initial process, there's going to be a gap starting now until they actually come up with the initial 6 or 8. But then every 2 weeks, they'll give the search committee updates. So that way we can kind of relay what, you know, what's going on and what's coming next and so forth. So this first phase is going to take a little while, you know, to get to that point. So.
Well, thank you, Executive Committee. That's going to be
It's
nice.
We think it's really important, and so
Yeah.
that's why we're willing to step up.
Good.
Thank you. I'm excited to see our results.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, well, with that, can I get an approval of the appointment of that search committee being the executive committee in itself?
And a couple of med.
And a couple of med staff.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, CEO report by Barry.
I have just a few things I'll update you on. Dr. Garten started yesterday, so he's kind of orienting right now. I know he's going to be doing a radio interview. Also, I know they're doing some videos for the website, but he will be starting to see patients on Friday of this week, and then his first robotic surgery won't be until looks like April 4th. The board did approve a couple months ago the sterile processing equipment, which will arrive here in the middle of March. So we needed to have that installed before we did our first robotic surgery. So that kind of gives you an update on where we are with him. A few other things related to OR and specialty clinic. We are looking at a retina specialist, a half day per month. This is an individual that's starting with the Truelson Institute, which is kind of affiliated with Nebraska Med Center. So we're kind of evaluating whether that makes sense to do that here. There might be some upfront costs, so we're looking at the financial impact of having that new specialist come out. It sounds like the optometrist would be favorable to having that service here locally. So we'll keep you updated on that moving forward.
Gary, when you talk about a retina specialist, does that mean cataract surgery? Or what does that mean?
No, that would be more medication procedures for, could be
Glaucoma?
yeah. Deal with a lot of diabetes patients that have failing, vision, and so that's, you're getting more into the diseases, macular degeneration and those types of diseases. So I don't know, Karen, if you have.
They do a lot of eye injections. It's not necessarily surgery, it's more procedures. Sounds like fun.
Thanks, I just
Would be more
Okay.
fun.
So Dr. LaRose has been coming out here since 1988, and his last day will be tomorrow. So we certainly appreciate everything that he's done for Myrtue and our patients and our community. There is going to be a little get-together tomorrow in the West Conference Room for some of the staff, medical staff, and staff that have worked with him over the years. So definitely thank him for everything that he's done. We are talking with a couple ortho groups out of Omaha Council Bluffs. Hope to have something a little bit more solid on this in the next few weeks. As you know, Dr. Shu has signed a contract, our hand surgeon, so we'll continue with her. Really glad to get her signed on to continue her service here. Dr. Bass, is continuing as well, our hip and joint surgeon, and that's a direct contract with the hospital. So our focus really over the next, few months would be sports medicine to replace Dr. LaRose. So we're still working on that, and hopefully I'll have something for you here very soon. Strategic planning, we've had a lot of discussions with the board about strategic planning, and we have started the work on those planning sessions here. We send a survey monkey out to all of the medical staff, and then we're going to do the same thing with the department managers probably this week. They'll get that same survey. It's a SWOT tool that we're using: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So we're trying to get input from each individual, and then we'll kind of compile that information, and we'll have an actual session with the medical staff on April 15th, and we're working on a session with our department managers on April 22nd. So we'll try to get that all done in about a week's time, and Terry has agreed to facilitate those discussions. And I would anticipate once we get through that, there's probably going to be some evaluation and research and looking into what we want to put in front of the board at that point. So I would hope early summer we could put something in front of the full board at that point. And so that's kind of where we're at with strategic planning. Any questions on that?
Am I supposed to do the 15th also?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't get that. I only need the 22nd, so I think that'll work. I'm checking. It's okay.
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
One thing I wanted to kind of give you just a little information on the Iowa legislative session, some things that are being looked at right now. The governor is addressing physician shortage really in her health care bill, and there's some legislation that's being proposed on that, and making, it looks like a pretty good investment if this actually all goes through. But the loan payment program for hospital professionals, they're putting an extra $5 million into that, so they'll double the dollars put into that program from $5 million to $10 million. But probably the bigger area is the kind of, I guess, partnering with Broadlawns and U of I to try to secure an extra $150 million of federal funding for new residency slots. So their plan is to be able to provide an additional 115 residency slots that would be trained here in the state of Iowa. Right now, it looks like they have about 270, I think it's like 275 slots each year. And there's about, between close to 400 physicians that are graduating from medical school. So there's a little bit of a gap there in the difference between those doctors graduating from medical school and the residency slots that are available. So, hopefully that all goes through. We've talked about the recruitment that we're doing here, and it takes quite some time to recruit someone. I think we were fortunate in getting Dr. Francis recruited as quickly as we did, but we've been working quite a bit on recruitment physicians. So there still is a big shortage of physicians in this country. So we're glad to see that's going on right now in the legislative session. There's also some legislation related to public hospitals. Let's see. I think I've got some information on that somewhere. There's some information on posting agendas and on websites. There's some things being proposed there. There's some legislation proposed related to public records requests. Also some information, I guess some things being proposed related to violations of open meetings laws, increasing fines. So I can send some of this information out to you if you have any interest in looking at that. But it does kind of lead into pretty well into our IHA does a board self-assessment, or they have a tool available to do a board self-assessment. And we did talk about that a little bit at the executive committee a meeting, and I think those members felt like maybe it wouldn't hurt to do that self-assessment, and probably could maybe identify a few gaps that we have. So I am planning on sending that out to all of you and kind of go through that process. That's all right with the board? I'll go ahead and do that.
I was going to say, that's not a new tool.
No, it's been around a while.
You've known maybe in the past some of that governance forum stuff. I knew about it, but I think it's a good time right now for reflection as we move forward with the new CEO potentially. I think it would be a good thing for us to do.
Okay. All right, I think that's all I have.
Do you think we could get a tour of the surgical facility and the new robotic system before we get that up and running?
Absolutely.
We didn't do a major investment in it. I think
Yeah.
it's prudent that we know what we purchased, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think
And maybe
that's
we
a
could
great
get our
idea.
surgeon, that might be.
What's that?
We could just tie that all together with the new surgeon.
Okay.
Little meet and greet with him.
So we're having a chamber thing. When's that? Is that the 11th?
March 11th. March 11th, a chamber ambassadors welcome will be here at 10:30 in the morning.
So we could maybe do it at that time if we can get enough board members there.
I think it'd be good.
Okay.
How's our marketing?
Let me write it
going
down.
back? I saw that we had a full page ad like with our surgeon. That's really good. And then the robotic piece of it, how are we throwing that out?
So the robotic piece will be featured, we're doing some video recording of him utilizing it when we go through a dry run here mid-March. So him and his staff and some of our staff will be coming into the OR at that time to get things set up. So yeah, we'll do a feature piece on him to introduce him to the community. We're actually doing that tomorrow. We're recording that, but then we'll introduce the robot itself in a few weeks.
That's great. I think that's wonderful stuff. Yeah. just want to make sure we utilize that, get it out, get
Yeah.
people aware of it, and maybe take the stigma off of it, just that it's a little bit something different, So, good. I don't know if stigma is the right word, but, the fear of it,
Okay. All right, next we'll have Jeff talk a little bit about the consideration of approval of the renovation of the 3 inpatient rooms in the west wing.
Yep, so we had proposed early on in the planning that on the inpatient portion of the project that's currently going on, that our maintenance staff would basically give a facelift to rooms 221, 22, and 23. They're opposite the hall from the rooms that Murray is remodeling to adding a full bathroom to. These 3 rooms had a full bathroom already with a shower. So what we were originally planning on doing was new ceilings, new flooring, paint, wall protection, new head walls, doors and frames. But last week, as we're going through with the architect and with Murray on the work that they're doing, concern came up about smoke partitions. And how that is, so these are the rooms that we're looking to remodel. These rooms all here are what Murray is doing, all that work. So what a smoke partition is, above this wall and this wall, because this is a patient corridor, we have to have the ability to stop smoke from coming on this side of the wall to this side of the wall. So by a life safety plan, the walls have to go from floor to deck, the next floor above. Our life safety plan originally created in 2012, did show that these were floor to deck walls. And when we got into demoing this, they don't have floor to deck. So that's going to increase the amount of work required on both sides. They already knew they had to go floor to deck as part of this, but then we have to also. So it's something that we were originally not planning to work on. Going this way, there is the partition, but not down the hallway. So that is a requirement by FGI standards. So originally, we were planning about $73,000 worth of work. That included all the equipment, everything. We have a contingency, quite a large contingency, to double it. As of just identifying what our issues were on Thursday, we don't know 100% what the total cost or the effort is going to be. Because as you take the wall all the way up to the ceiling, we now have to modify the HVAC system to allow air going back and forth, because the air system is called a plenum return, which is all above the ceiling. It pulls all the air into the system to recycle it. So we have to be able to block smoke going through the air system into other areas. So there's smoke dampers that have to go in here. We have to modify the HVAC to get the air returns between both places. It's still being developed. We want to start the work sooner rather than later, waiting for a full plan to come. So we estimate roughly doubling the price or the cost to accommodate all that HVAC work and the additional wall work that needs to occur. Total of $150,000. So we request to spend an estimated $150,000 to complete these rooms on an upgrade. So it'll all match, that whole hallway will match doors, frames, color schemes, flooring, ceilings, everything.
So is this now not going to be our maintenance folks, but it's going to be Murray?
No, it still will be our maintenance folks
Okay.
that do that, yeah. But it just, we had everything in line that we're well within our means to move forward, but now with the HVAC, we're going to need probably a contractor to come in and assist us with the HVAC work, but that's still going to be required to be completed.
Did that carpet all get replaced then too? Like all that?
It will, yeah.
Like the whole thing all matched? It won't
Yep.
be like two hodgepodge
Correct.
together and one
So
looks
the-
beige and one's gray?
Yep, the carpet down these hallways around the nurses' station, all of this will match. Now, we have the doorway that's right here. That'll be a stopping point right now, a good break because we have doors. We will consider in the future doing the hallway here, and we've got this room and 2 rooms on this side that are updated to a new color scheme. We have the other rooms that will need to be done at some point, or should be done at some point. So we'll consider all of that another fiscal year.
All right, any more questions for Jeff?
What was the time frame on the specialty clinics?
To start,
I mean,
or cardiac rehab?
Well, whatever we're moving. Yes.
So cardiac rehab, yes, is part of the specialty clinic, and that is going to be moving upstairs.
After we're done with the construction.
Well, it's being constructed right now, the new space that they're moving to.
Right,
So we
right.
took where the existing nurses station, the temporary ED nurses station, plus the trauma room and the beauty room.
Oh, there, okay,
So
yes.
that's all going to
Oh,
be
yeah, okay.
cardiac rehab.
Okay.
We're waiting on the door frame, which was shipped yesterday. So we get that in, we can finish the sheetrock on that space. Most of the sheetrock has been hung and mudded and taped once already. So we need to get the door frame in to finish the last 2 pieces of sheetrock on that space, and then that's all ready to go.
Okay.
I mean, towards finishing. Then we have ceiling grid to hang, flooring to put in, paint the walls, and then install the furniture. And that should be done, mostly done. Those are the big things that have to finish on that part.
Okay.
And then outpatient specialty clinic, the remodel there will start in October.
Okay. Okay. Lot to remember.
A lot of stuff going on. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Can I get an approval of the renovation of those 3 rooms in the west wing?
Second.
We have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Let's see, capital purchase, the approval of the, however you say that, security system by Jeff.
Verkada is the name of the system. So we currently have 2 disparate systems right now. A camera system that is outdated and non-updatable, and a door access that is outdated and non-updatable. We have been using this and it works, but as we have been doing work on all of our facilities, we have transitioned to a company called Verkada. It is a web-based, so this is kind of what we currently have. Inflexible, can't do much, they're both outdated and unsupported. Verkada is an integrated door and camera system. It's already installed in all of the rural health clinics, so Shelby, Avoca, Elkhorn, Erling. We also have the system installed down at Community Health, Home Health, over at Behavioral Health, and the camera portion installed at the Peterson Family Wellness Building. So we've got some in PT and in some of the fitness facility. Also, what's interesting is the sheriff's and fire department have this same system. So when a month ago when we had the sprinkler issue, we took the fire chief and one of the lieutenants' badge, entered it into our Verkada system, which then gets them in and out of the emergency. We have Verkada on this for the emergency and diagnostic imaging. So it gets them through all of those doors. So then we don't have to provide badges. We can use theirs and just coordinate managing. So it is a system that is somewhat shareable as long as we have the appropriate information. It is web-based, so as we want to install a camera, we identify the camera, we go plug it into a network access. By the time we get back to our desk, the camera's working and displaying on our system already. Where the current one is we have to run the cables, get the camera working, and then come back to the system, define all the parameters, everything on it. So everything is integrated together here. I wanted to give you a quick little demo of what the system is. So this is the camera view on some of our cameras. So you can see they're broke down. Avoca Clinic has 2 cameras. Behavioral Health has 2 cameras. Harlan Clinic has 3 because we have storage and exterior doors we wanted to cover. Elkhorn, ER, where they're at. This is our vestibule. It has a intercom system, so as patients come in after hours, they can press the button. It's going to call a phone to wherever the nurse supervisor is, and they can accommodate, and we can open this door remotely. That's right there. Home health, what we have in-house here at the medical center, and then physical therapy, and Shelby Clinic and Wellness. Obviously, it's all alphabetical order. But wanted to show you one of the features. Here's the gymnasium, current view. We can track, it's going to show us where all of the movement is on what it's recording. So come down here a little bit further, and it's every few minutes. There were some people playing pickleball. Yeah, there we go. So you can see all their movements and everything that's going on. Also, we can click the people, and if we were trying to follow somebody, it comes up slowly, we can track based on images, facials. So one of the things I did beforehand is I created a person of interest. Real unique person here that we're trying to track.
She's unique, yes.
Yeah, she needs track too. So it comes up and provides where on every camera that image is presented. Now what it didn't do is the work we did today. I called her and said, hey, would you go out on the floor and wave to the camera? She did that. She waved at Barry earlier. But then it's not 100% either. It's pretty close, but every camera that her face comes through, it's on this list. It is close. We do have one individual that looks very similar to Michelle, that it will identify her as Michelle. So, I mean, it's not 100%, but it's getting better and better and better. So we can track and we can see, okay, what is it that she was doing? Here's the front entrance, and we should see her image coming through any second. Yep, so there, and we can track and see what's going on. So we did have this actually, we had one of the clinics had a person rooting around the back door. And so we made a person of interest in it, not knowing who it was or anything. And we got a hit in the ambulance garage. They were part of an ambulance crew also. So we can track and see what they are. It works great on those people that we, have told we don't want you here. It will notify appropriate people. It could be the police, it could be a staff member or whoever. But then on the door side, these are all of the doors, and if you notice, at least on, well, this is Shelby. Let me come down here. Where is home health? Right here. So the home health back door, come down, and these are all of the activities that we've got, and the people with the cards we can attach an image to, and it will come through and we can see when this person tried what they were doing. It also is great for people that come up and that don't have access, that try and wipe a badge or anything, and we can see what they're trying to do. Alert, put alerts on anything there too. Obviously, we can create archives, legal holds if need be on things, but it's a very robust system. We can do all kinds of things. The existing system is all based on group access. So you're part of a group that has access to this group of doors. We can assign a single door, a group of doors, however we want on this. So it makes it a lot more secure, a lot more user-friendly. Gives us a lot more features to it. Let me come back here. So, what we were looking at is the camera system outside. We currently have cameras at all the main entrances, and we would be expanding the camera visibility to include parking lots, both on the employee parking lot, the patient parking lot out front, and an emergency department. When the new clinic is built, there is monies already set aside to expand the camera and doors access system for that structure. We would have Harlan Business Solutions install all of the cameras, because there's some cable runs that need to be made, and putting cameras out on top of the lights in the parking lot, they're four direction, so we get the entire parking lot. The doors, we would do the doors in-house with our IT department. Essentially at a high level, most of it is just taking the old controllers out, putting a new controller in, hooking them up, and defining the doors. We would do that in a phased approach, because each of the wiring closets we have throughout the building has door controllers, so we would want to do it in a phased approach. Total cost, the design, install, testing is $203,889. Have a little bit of contingency, because there will be a little bit of wiring we might need to replace a little bit there, so total would be $223,889, and I would request approval to upgrade our existing door system, security system, to this system for $223 and change.
Are there monitoring fees on an annual basis then, like a service contract?
Now, this would be a 5-year license, includes a 5-year license on all of the cameras and door license use. Monitoring would be in-house, and we can set up alerts on whatever we would want. So there isn't a person actively 100% of the time monitoring. We do have viewing stations down at the nurses station at in ED. There also is on our inpatient nurses station also. So the monitors would be up there.
Does the system provide like anything that's intuitive, like if somebody's coming that like it poses a threat, like say they brought a rifle or a handgun?
Yeah, there is on this system that's under development. It's done and in beta testing is about 70 to 75% accurate on weapons. So, you know, if you put a broomstick under your coat, it might identify that as a long gun, but they have had some great success, like I say, about 70 to 80% accuracy on weapons.
Is that an add-on, or does that come with the system that we're getting?
I believe right now it's in beta, so I don't know if they're going to charge for that service or it'll be part of the base system yet. So it's not released to the general public as of yet.
What happens after 5 years then?
We can renew the licensing.
Okay, and the cameras in that, they'll probably be outdated in 5 years, are they?
They're 4K cameras, so they're a middle of the road camera right now. We do have the option to go with an 8K, but the price increases significantly. So yeah, at that point in time, we can, we haven't hit a 5-year term yet to see what are our options. Can we upgrade for trade in for a small amount and upgrade the cameras? We just haven't gone into that yet.
Do you set up like a contingency then account, like that you're kind of slowly building that reserve up for those replacement items?
We can. It's generally OpEx monies on the licensing. So
I mean, because this camera system is just to upgrade our current facility, and then our new one is what? How much was the new edition camera?
The addition, it's the same system. It's the same system. We have 34 door access readers and 6 cameras.
Okay. Do you remember the cost of it on the edition piece?
The estimated price we had, I think, was about $25,000, $30,000. So it's roughly $500 per 5-year license for a card reader and about $600 for a camera. Because they do store the images for up to 30 days. So part of the increased license is the amount of storage that goes along with the video.
We currently, Jeff maintains a kind of an annual rolling of which of our computers we need to replace on an annual basis. That's figured into our budget each year. So these cameras and things would be included with that, as to knowing that we should replace these are this old or these are this old, and always allow for some.
I think you have to start setting that money aside for those
Yeah.
programs, because it's going to be something that's going to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The existing cameras we have, some of them are 12, 13, 14 years old.
Right.
So,
We can spend a lot of money in this, which
Oh,
is,
absolutely.
this is quite a bit of money too.
Yep.
So,
yep. Yeah, a new camera right now is about, we've been getting them anywhere between $900 and $1,200 for this system.
You know, the staff really appreciate the security, usually especially at night.
certainly.
Because down in ER, sometimes they feel a little isolated,
Isolated.
Oh, I
and
bet.
they have the same cameras up on med-surg, so the staff on med-surg can watch what's
Oh,
coming
yeah.
into the ER, and the ER staff can watch the cameras as well. And just to know what's walking in before it hits you can be very reassuring.
Bigger, yeah.
Thanks, Karen.
So Jim, you got to see today what it was I was trying to describe to you there after our building and grounds meeting, so
Gotcha.
the clarity of those cameras. So I'll move the approval of the expanded door and video by Verkada for $223,889.
Second?
Okay, we got a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. Give you a quick update on construction also. The inpatient, they began demo late last week and continue in earnest this week. So a lot of the walls in between the rooms are down. They're working on the walls on the hallway. So that's going gangbusters right now. As you can see, as you drive by, sheeting is going up on the existing RHC. That is to prep to kind of enclose that so they can put some heat into there and work inside. And I think in 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, they're going to be pouring concrete inside on the second floor, get all of that leveled out, and then studs. I mean, you're going to start seeing rooms be created in that space. So yeah, I think we're basically on track right now. We did lose a little bit of time last week due to the extreme cold weather, because those guys working outside in 30 below wind chills, we agree they shouldn't have been out there. But so there were just a couple days there, but they are planning on working weekends to get caught up.
They worked last weekend.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It was still cold, wasn't it?
Saturday was a little cooler. Sunday would have been great, but yeah. So I do know that they have plans over the next couple weeks to work the weekends.
Wow.
All right. Now we'll go to Christie for the approval of the monthly financial statements.
Okay, I do apologize. I do see that the fiscal part of this down below didn't get changed from January 25 to January 24. But if you look in your packet, you have an income statement there that you can follow along. The stats got changed. The outpatient visits from January of 2025 compared to January of 2024 went up considerably there during that month of just a little under 700 more visits this year in January than last year. The emergency room visits are pretty much staying static there. The 474. Surgical procedures are down a little bit from January of last year, 114 compared to 120, so nothing significant with the transition that we're going through. That's a good sign there. Physicians clinic visits were 4,073 compared to 3,400 last year. So again, a significant increase in the physicians clinic visits compared to January of last year to this year. The behavioral health visits were 1,354 compared to 1,481 last January. We had an average daily census of just a little over 7 patients compared to 9.5 patients last year on average daily in our inpatient swing bed and observation. We had 5 bursts this year compared to 3 last year. So our net patient revenue this year was $5,808,411 compared to last year it was $4,861,000. And so then our expenses this year for January were $5,178,000 compared to last year. We had $4,744,000. So we had a net from operations of $310,000 this year. Our non-operating revenues were at $200,310, so we had a $510,836,000 gain from all sources in the month of January of this year, compared to last year's $312,000. Current year to date, we are seeing, those numbers are hopefully correct, yes, they are. So you can see there we had a 7% increase in our outpatient visits for the first 7 months of this fiscal year compared to last year. 0.3% increase in our ER visits for the same time frame. We had about 32 less surgeries, is about 3.8% decline. Physician clinic visits are up 7%. Behavioral health visits are down 5.5%. We are still looking for some additional staff members there. Average daily census for the year to date would be 7.3 for this fiscal year and 8.11 last year. So we are seeing a 9.5% decline in the number of patients that we're having in our hospital every day. Births, we had 66 compared to 44, so we do have a 50% increase in those births for the first 7 months. 36 million in net patient revenue, 34 million in expenses, and 1.3 million in non-operating, so we're at 3.3 million from all sources net income. Last year for the same time frame, we were at 1.4 million in net income, so are still seeing a considerable 136% increase in our net income from all sources. Currently, if you look at the balance sheet in our packet, cash balances are staying pretty consistent. We did have a little bit of an increase in our AR due to transitioning clearinghouses from one clearinghouse to the other. We are going away from Change, which we had an issue, we had the breach, and going to Quadex, which is who we use during that interim service. So still doing pretty good on our cash balances. So if you look at the last 4 years, we have continued to see our outpatient visits increase starting 4 years ago in 2022, we were at 32,358, so we're at 35,752 now. Emergency room visits, we were at 3,508. We are currently at 3,433, so still pretty consistent. Surgical procedures, 4 years ago we were at 790, grew in there, and are over 805 currently now. The physician clinic visits, we have seen a little bit of a decline in those from 4 years ago, 2,831 compared to 26,340 this year. Behavioral health visits, we were at 8,377 4 years ago. Saw a spike in there in 2023 to 9,486, and we are currently at 8,179. We've talked for a long time about the average daily census. Inpatient, swing bed, and observation continue to go down. That is driven really by insurance companies not wanting patients to be in the hospital, would rather have them be cared for at home. Births, we've continued to see an increase there, so we're at our highest of the last 4 years currently. Revenues have continued to grow each year over this 4-year period. Our net income from all sources has gone from 2.7 to 3.3, and really that why is mine different? I'm sorry, it's not, you want to scroll up a little bit. 2.7 included a little bit of still our COVID federal and state funding sources, so it's really gone up quite a bit. A lot of that is the Medicaid directed payments program that we're currently in. Talking about construction, we did meet with the lead bank on our construction loan, and we're still looking at what we discussed before, no more than our 12.5 million. Don't think it's going to be near that high yet either. I think we'll be closer to the 10 that we discussed earlier, but we'll start having some more meetings as legal documents are being drawn up and such, so kind of getting down to that point where we'll
When
want
will you
to,
look to borrow?
pardon me?
When will you look to start borrowing?
I don't think we're going to really necessarily need to borrow until May or June. So we still have CDs coming due at a regular, according to our payment schedule that we estimated payment schedule from the construction company. And so we've been able to fund it with maturity of CDs and still get some interest. So.
I just got a couple of questions. On the behavioral health clinic visits, do we track that, how that's maybe come down since we've been out of the school? Is that, I mean, our demand for health visits is huge. I mean, and we hear every day that there is more need for that service, but the decline in numbers doesn't make sense to me.
Part of it right now is the fact that we believe we just hired another new staff member, and then we're still looking for one or two.
Yeah, we're still down a couple therapists.
Yeah.
And we had kind of a switch over time with the community support folks that were out there. So we've just had several staffing changes. It does take a little bit to get them up and running and build their clientele.
And we did lose the school in there at some point in time, and we could go back and look at that, but that's been several years now, so that might have been that higher year of 9,486, and then after that point,
We did keep some of the, clientele that we were seeing from the school. They opted to continue their therapy through our facility down here. Just didn't have the convenience of being in the school anymore.
Are we still having like the long wait period to see a therapist? I think I heard one time that there was a 30-day wait period for people to visit.
We do still have a wait period, but they've been trying to be a little proactive in regards to some of that with a few of the different walk-in groups that they have, so that people can almost get something within that week and ways that they can deal with their own situation. It's not necessarily a one-on-one, and then they're on that intake wait list. We do have some folks that are going to other locations for their therapy, depending upon how quickly they need it. As far as medication management, we can get folks in within that week or the next. But therapy, there is a little bit of a wait gap.
So is this clinic only, is this including teletherapy or anything?
That includes telehealth, inpatient, or in-person, everything.
That's everything.
That's all visits.
So this new expansion that we're doing and moving the health clinic back, will this help with this wait period? Like, are we going to hire more therapists then?
We're looking to hire more.
Okay.
We're actively working with a recruiter and have had some interest, so.
I think we've got two, we're trying to hire two right now. But once we move to the new area, there's capacity for, I think, another, at least one or two more
Yeah, I think even
providers.
three, but definitely two.
Okay. Thank you.
I think, I have a question related to Jen's a little bit, just the emergency room visits being flat. Is that, 2022 is about when we started quick care. Could that contribute to flattening that number out? Because quick care is addressing a lot of those potential ER visits.
I think it probably has made a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, it was January 20th last year of 24 that we started the quick care and did the expansion.
Okay, that was longer.
Evening clinics we've had in existence for quite some time.
Sure.
Almost my entire life, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the financials.
Second that motion.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Christie will also talk about the payroll claims, if there was any questions or concerns with that. Anybody got anything to add or talk about?
I'll move the approval of the January payroll and claims.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Barry, do you have anything else to add to the meeting today,
Nope.
or anybody else?
I don't have anything.
Thanks, everybody.
Can we get an adjournment?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, everybody.